All right, today we're tackling a real giant, Sir Isaac Newton, the man who basically rewrote the rule book for the universe. But here's the thing, was he just a scientist? Or was there a whole other side to him we rarely hear about? You've probably heard this famous line before, and it really nails just how huge his impact was. It's like the world was dark, and then bam, Newton switched on the lights. But the man behind the legend? Oh, he was way more complex than you might imagine. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're gonna follow his journey from a pretty rough childhood, dive into his mind-blowing breakthroughs, and then we'll get into the secret obsessions that were really driving him. So, let's start at the beginning. Newton's early life? It was anything but easy. I mean, he was born prematurely, right after his father died, and then he was pretty much left with his grandmother when he was just a little kid. And this little story about a schoolyard fight, it tells you everything you need to know about him. See, it wasn't enough for him to just win the fight physically. No, he became obsessed with crushing his opponent academically too. And once he got that taste of being number one, he never looked back. So when he gets to Cambridge University, you can see that independence streak right away. He looked at the standard curriculum, which was all based on Aristotle, and basically said, nope, not for me. Instead, he got hooked on the really radical thinkers of his day, guys like Descartes and Galileo. And that independent mind was about to be put to the ultimate test. Because when the Great Plague hits, Cambridge shuts down. But did Newton take a break? Not a chance. This forced isolation kicked off one of the most creative explosions in the history of science. Think about this. For 2 solid years, while the world outside was in chaos, Newton was cooped up at home. And it was in that isolation that he laid the foundation for, well, pretty much everything that would make him famous. Right, so how do you even begin to describe a universe that's always moving, always changing? You can't use old math, so what does Newton do? He invents a brand new branch of mathematics, calculus. This was the tool he needed to finally accurately analyze the paths of planets, the speed of falling objects, everything. And it wasn't just math. At the same time, he's doing these incredible experiments with light. He takes a prism and proves that pure white light isn't pure at all. It's actually made up of a whole spectrum of colors. This completely shattered what everyone thought they knew, and he immediately used that discovery to build the world's first practical reflecting telescope. Just amazing. So, all of these incredible breakthroughs, they all came together in one monumental work, his magnum opus, the book that would literally set the foundation for physics for the next few hundred years. But getting to that masterpiece, the Principia, wasn't some straight shot. It was a winding road. It involved building practical things like his telescope, getting into a really nasty fight with another genius named Leibniz over who invented calculus, and even taking a completely different job later in life as the guy in charge of England's money. And the core of the Principia? It all boils down to these 3 brilliantly simple laws of motion. You've got inertia, force equals mass times acceleration, and every action having an equal and opposite reaction. I mean, these are the rules that still govern how we understand motion today, whether you're talking about planets or launching a rocket. But his real masterstroke, the idea that tied it all together, was the law of universal gravitation. This was huge. He was saying that the very same force that makes an apple fall from a tree is the exact same force that keeps the moon orbiting the Earth. He unified the laws of heaven and earth. Nobody had ever done that before. And speaking of that calculus thing, this wasn't just some friendly disagreement. The fight between Newton and Leibniz over who invented it first became one of the nastiest, most bitter rivalries in the entire history of science. Both had a legitimate claim, and it got personal. Okay, but here's where the story takes a really weird turn. Because the rational, logical scientist that we all learn about in school, that's only half the picture. Newton spent decades, literally decades, obsessed with things that seemed to completely contradict his scientific work. And you don't have to take my word for it. Just look at his private manuscripts. I mean, check out the word counts. He wrote over 1 million words on science and math, sure, but he wrote almost 1.5 million words on theology, and over 500,000 on, get this, alchemy. The guy we know for physics wrote more about God and magic than he did about science. This is just such a fascinating duality, right? On one hand, you have the scientist using cold, hard experiments and mathematical proof to figure out the laws of nature. And on the other hand, you have this mystic, this alchemist, trying to decode biblical prophecies and uncover some kind of divine hidden plan for the universe. It's the same guy. So, Newton's ideas were way too big to just stay locked up in a laboratory or a book. They spilled out and completely reshaped the culture. And in doing so, they helped kickstart one of the biggest transformations in all of human history. What emerged was this Newtonian culture. It was this powerful new idea, a whole new worldview, that the universe wasn't some mysterious, unknowable thing. No, it was like a giant, intricate clock. It operated according to predictable, universal laws. And the most important part? If you could understand those laws, you could manipulate them. And that idea that nature is a predictable machine was the absolute key. It provided the intellectual fuel for the Industrial Revolution. Suddenly you have engineers and entrepreneurs believing they can harness nature's power. It created this amazing synergy between scientific theory and what was happening on the factory floor. And crucially, this idea was even preached from the pulpit in Britain, which was not happening elsewhere. It created this cultural drive to mechanize, well, everything. And this really explains why the Industrial Revolution kicked off in Britain and not somewhere else. Look, China had an incredible history of invention, so did the Islamic world. But they didn't have this specific Newtonian culture. Their institutions were set up differently. They lacked that unique combination of scientific theory and a widespread cultural belief that you could and should master the mechanical world. But for all of this, for literally rewriting the rules of the universe, Newton himself had this incredible sense of humility. He famously said he felt like just a boy playing on the seashore, finding a pretty shell here and there, while this vast, undiscovered ocean of truth lay right in front of him. And that really brings us to the heart of it. What you should take away is that Newton wasn't just a scientist in a lab. He was a complex, driven, sometimes contradictory figure who gave us a powerful new way to see the world as a predictable, understandable machine. And that vision unleashed a wave of change that we are absolutely still riding today. So it leaves you with a question, right? If all of Newton's discoveries were just a few pebbles on the beach, what great oceans are still out there waiting for us to explore?